There's always that pause, and you hope that you're going to come into this screen. Welcome along, everybody. Yes, it is Monday night, and it's showtime. Yes, it is the Hair Show. Great to be back, and this is the show, as you know, where we all come together to discuss the big hair industry topics, and we want you to be part of these conversations because it's your voice that makes the show the Everyday Hairdresser Show. And to do that, what you got to do? Well, to be part of this show, to be part of the conversations, just get posting in the comments. And who knows, we will be flagging them up on the screen and talking around them. And do remember, if you are watching inside the How to Cut It hairdressing community Facebook group, you just need to grant ECAM permission so we can just flag up your name, because unfortunately, as many of you will know, I don't know who you are because it comes up Facebook user. I'd love to know who that is, but those that have done it, I see your faces there. Hi, Abigail, nice to see you. So yeah, go in. I think Georgia is going to just put a link in on the yes, there it is. All right, all you need to do, just click on that link, just grant permission. It takes seconds to do, and then we can flag up your name on the screen. And really good. So come on then, let's have a look. Who is joining us? Well, first in tonight was Janet from Pivot Point. Hiya, Janet. Good to have you along. Emma Holt. Nice to see you, Emma. Welcome in. And Lee tonight. I love that. In the garden again. Fag and just a can of Coke this week. Good stuff there, Lee. I think it was wine 2 weeks ago. We've got Jez here. Hiya, Tony. How you doing, mate? Abigail. Great, congratulations, smashed it, Abigail. We've got Paul in here. Let's get the show on the road. Yeah, that's definitely been talked about. What else have we got in here? So yeah, look, we have got a big show tonight. We have got some big topics coming your way, and we've got two very special guests who are jumping into the hot seat tonight because Norman and Rihanna are away. And as you know, we love to bring on some very, very special guests, and I promise you they are special, and it's going to be really, really good tonight. So what's our topics? Well, let's have a look. As you know, we kind of have these topics. I think I've already got one up, haven't I, just there? So, help. I'm too busy. What should I do? All right. So are you complaining that you're too busy? Really? Well, we're going to have a little talk about that one tonight. Let's take that one away. Let's see if that one comes off. Right, there you go. Then we've got this one. We're going to kick off tonight. Where is the industry heading? Education, expectations, work ethic, has it changed? Is our approach to younger people and how we're educating them different? Who knows? Where is this going to go? And with our guest tonight, I think it's going to go in all kinds of places, I promise you. Then we got coming up in our topic, blag and banter. Is it personality over skill? Are we blagging haircuts? Are we blagging what we can do? Have a thought on that one. Looking forward to hearing your ideas and your opinions on there. And then we have, am I too busy? What should I do about it? And then we're going to finish with something a bit lighthearted. I think it's all something that I'd like you to think about. And then you could sort of maybe add to this at the end. We're going to be asking everybody, what's your big high? Yes, what has today been your biggest career high point? I'm going to ask that to our co-host tonight, and I want you all to answer that at the end of the show. Does that sound good? Yeah, let us know. Come on, let's see some love hearts and likes come into the group. All right, we want you to share it out if you're watching in a profile. And I am really, really excited for tonight's co-host. Do you want to meet our host for tonight? You're going to have to put some love hearts in there. Come on, lots of likes. You could do better than that. We need a lot more likes. So let's bring them onto our screen. Two of the biggest heavyweights in the barbering scene, and probably globally the biggest content creator from our industry on YouTube, TikTok. I mean, they are absolutely blowing it up. And of course, our delightful co-host, it wouldn't be the same if she's not here with me. So please welcome to our screens, Georgia Bell, Johnny Barber, and Elliot Forbes. How you doing?
Great.
Hello.
Great to have you. Great to have you.
Hello.
How was that? Was that all right for a build-up?
We're flattered, aren't we? We've both got rosy cheeks.
Yeah, heavyweight though. Heavyweight, but I've been working hard on my weight.
Yeah.
I like to say more of a bantamweight.
So come on, it's a lovely backdrop. Where are you joining us live from tonight, Johnny?
I'm actually in a podcast room in the building where my office is, So the people who usually use this room gave me permission to use it tonight. So it's quite nice, actually, isn't it?
We're in the podcast room, but we haven't actually got any podcast mics, so we've sort of we've half got there, but not quite got the full way there.
Podcast mics are over there. So,
and kind of like Elliot, it was only Johnny sort of said today. He said, "Look, Elliot's up and about today," and that's kind of how we brought Elliot onto the show, which I was just super excited about.
I'm just using his power and influence to make myself look better. Like I'm looking more important now. So, funny, like it's kind of, we go into it in a while, but like this journey for him has just been unbelievable. You know what I mean? For like, I remember when he came first looking for a job. I remember when I first employed him all those years ago, and now I'm kind of looking to him for advice. Do you know what I mean? I think it's an amazing journey for him. The fact that it's gone full circle, that he used to come to me for advice, and now I'm going to him for advice in the space of 4 years.
4 years, yeah. But it goes through cycles, doesn't it? I mean, it's passing the baton on, isn't it? And you've made a massive help for me in all that I've done, and I still phone you up for advice on lots of things. So it's a good friendship, isn't it?
Don't take my advice, man. My advice clearly doesn't work.
I always remember, actually, Johnny, you said to us, and Elliot was kind of starting out on his journey. He said, "You must bring this lad onto the podcast." You probably can't remember it, and I never did actually bring him on. But to see Elliot, and I'm just going to do you remember? I don't know. Can you remember that?
I remember it. It was, I think we were doing an interview one time, and he was up for the Rising Star, the Creative Head Awards, actually. And I was on the podcast with you, I think, a couple of nights previous to it. And I was talking about him and saying, this kid has come, like, he came fresh from, I think he did LSB, then he went working in Ruffians, and then he came to us, didn't you?
Yeah.
And like, in a space of like, and it's no secret, and I said it before, like, when he came to us, like, he couldn't really cut hair that well. I mean, he knew his way around the shape, but again, it was his attitude. And even now, you can't really employ an attitude now, because 90% of people have the wrong attitude. But back then,
hold back on it.
I thought you were going to say you still can't cut hair. Then
I still can't. I'm just faking it. That's why we're going on to how much can you fake it. That's what.
But can I just jump in?
Johnny, don't say it.
But can I just, we can kind of head into that in a bit, and everyone of you watching, we want you really to get involved in this, and anybody that knows Johnny as well. I mean, I've got to say, Johnny is probably one of the greatest barbers, I think, of our time, and I don't say that just to be being polite, Johnny. But when I talk about cutting men's hair, you do it all, mate. Yeah.
I don't think I genuinely. I am pretty taken back by those comments. Do you know what I mean? And I do.
No, you are.
Thank you. But,
yeah, and if you don't know Johnny, you need to go and check out Johnny. He cuts hair beautifully, and he's way ahead of the curve. Wouldn't you agree, Elliot? I mean, it's
without a doubt. And for me, he was the whole reason for helping me learn how to cut hair and improve in the industry. He was someone that stood out. I went there, and he helped me on the path. And now he's gonna. Well, we're going to revolutionise his content as well. We're going to be putting a lot more content in with him, and hopefully going to be blowing up the Barber brand and the products up here as well.
Shameless plug. There we go.
Yeah, can we just actually, before we get into the show, buddy, but Johnny, you have your own brand, don't you? Can we get one of them pots down, or is it going to rudely display down? Let's have a look here. And they are fantastic, because I've actually used these products, not on myself, in my hairline.
Our big sellers, Beachcomber. God, these bloody things, right? Okay.
Are these actually available in the industry? Are these industry products, Johnny? Or
no,
are they?
It's like, it's one of those things, man. And I said it before. I'd be grateful for anybody if they wanted to use them, and I would provide a wholesale price. But I'm very much aware of the nepotism that goes on within the industry. Do you know what I mean? So when I created the brand, it was very much a Marmite. Barber has always been a Marmite brand. You know what I mean? And the products, whereas they're magnificently formulated, the amount of thought and effort and time we've gone into them is crazy. But I know how hard it is to appeal to an audience who ultimately are going to be your rise or your fall. Do you know what I mean? And I've always said, if you sell to everybody, you sell to nobody. That's always been my big one. And for every one person that doesn't like you, there's 10 that do like you. But in a place so small as the hairdressing industry, because as big as it is, it is a small pool. Do you know what I mean? And I can't compete with the big, massive companies with the massive budgets. I just can't do it. You know what I mean? My formulations, they were far greater than 99% of men's products that are on the market. I can back it up. But also it's the quantities I produce at. I can't get to the margin where I can sell on at wholesale prices to compete with the big boys. Do you know what I mean? I just can't do it. Do you know what I mean? So we have primarily gone D2C on it. We go straight from between Amazon and the website, and it's doing well. It's doing quite well actually. But I believe in the next 18, 24 months, it's going to do a hell of a lot better. You know what I mean? All our indications, all our data is showing that it's growing really, really well. And
it's a good product.
And it's a good product.
It is a good product as well. And I believe we're going to maybe offer a prize tonight, Johnny, if that's okay.
If no one's
what could be up for grabs? What could we send one person tonight watching in who's going to ask?
We can send them all the full product range, which is 7 products at the moment. There's another 7 to come early next year. So we have 2 different types of clay. We have a sea salt texture paste. We have a texture foam. And we have an unbelievable body wash and an unbelievable shampoo, which is actually, to be honest, like as men's shampoos go, it's pretty damn good,
And it's sparkly. It's got some nice shine to it as well, isn't it?
Of course, it's gold. Why wouldn't it be?
Have you actually showcased this to your 1.89 million YouTube subscribers, Elliot?
I did, yeah. I've used it we did a little review video on it, didn't we?
Yeah.
When it first came out, and we're going to be doing some more stuff. We just recorded my first haircut by someone else for the first time in 4 years. So Johnny cut my hair this afternoon. We're going to do a little video about that, and then we're going to go back to the shop after we finish this. We're going to record Johnny shaving me. So yeah, there's going to be more stuff going out, and then we're going to be creating some content for the Barber pages, aren't we, as well? So
lovely. And just before, not that you need maybe 10, 15 more followers coming, because but I'm sure people would love to I highly recommend they come and just find your channel, Elliot, because it's, honestly, if you want to know how to create content, Elliot is your go-to. So where do we find you?
It's Elliot Forbes everywhere. So just my name. So Elliot Forbes on all of the platforms, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and wherever you find
And when
content.
I say he's one of the biggest global followers, 1.89 million YouTube subscribers, 9.7 million TikTok followers, and 229,000 Instagram followers, and not one of them has been paid for. That is because Elliot is the daddy when it comes to creating content, I promise you. So go and check it out. George, I just saw here, Paul just said, "Hey Georgia, you look like you're hanging on every word tonight."
What does that mean?
It means it looks like you're grossly in focused on what these boys are saying.
I absolutely am, yeah, of course.
It was fair to say because you said we need to bring Johnny onto the show, didn't you? Some time ago.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. I've always been a big fan, Mr. Barber.
Thank you, and likewise, Josh. Likewise.
Well, look, I think
I'm a
people
big fan of you, Elliot. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to have check out your channels as soon as we finish.
Proper, honestly, you want to know.
Sorry.
No, carry on.
I was talking with Johnny earlier, actually, about you, Georgia. As I think when I first joined the industry, about the time I went on Instagram and found Johnny, I also became aware of you, and you were assisting at Not Another Salon, and it's been incredible watching the journey and the rise for you, and how much effort has gone into it, and how such a natural and incredible you are on camera. So it's been fascinating watching that.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
That's enough loving going on here now. Now we need to get onto the topics. Come on, I'm starting to get embarrassed here. Right, so we're going to go to our first topic. Everybody, come on. We want to get you part of this conversation. We're going to be bringing in the questions. Johnny, Elliot know the format. So we want you to be part of this. Get your comments going. So let's go to our first topic of the night. Hey, so yes, this is the one. Where is the industry heading, Johnny?
I like the way you pick on me for that one. Do you know what? I think there's still time for it to be saved. Do you know what I mean? And I mean this like straight away, like I've gone for the jugular here and saying it's terrible. It is, being honest, it is, as an employer, and as somebody who has multiple shops in multiple cities, I'm hearing and seeing the same thing all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's like nobody wants to actually work anymore. Everybody, like, anytime anybody asks me for any advice, it's always, how do I grow my profile? Like, I don't have a profile. I don't have a big enough profile, so I can't say how you do it, right? But what people forget is I come from a time where you had to work. You had to be good and you had to be busy. And the better you were, the busier you were, and that's how you became successful. Do you know what I mean? And what is success anyway? These days, I don't think success is what I saw as successful. When I first came into the industry, as you say, nearly 30 years ago, barbering wasn't an industry. Barbering was a job, and it was a job that I still today love, and I love it as a job. I don't look at barbering as an industry because I think it had a chance to be an industry. And I know you said not to swear, so I'm going to say, but collectively we effed it. You know what I mean? We absolutely destroyed any chance we had of barbering being perceived as an industry because it got saturated with too many brands. It got saturated with too many low-skilled people who actually were able to find a way around a social media account, find a way around a laptop and an iPhone, and make things appear better than they were.
I feel like he's aiming at me there.
No, I'm not.
But that's interesting, actually. But that, I will jump in there because you've got Elliot that sat next to you, who is probably, to a lot of aspiring new generation of hair professionals, are probably looking at Elliot and saying, well, actually, that's what Elliot's gone and done.
Well, it's not.
No, but Elliot's gone and learned. No. Elliot's gone and learned skill, right, from Johnny, which you've already said is, in your opinion, one of the best barbers that we've got. It's to us. So yeah, it can be great that Elliot's going and creating content of his work and stuff, but he's already gone and learned the skill from somebody that's worth learning the skill from.
But I think that's why he does stand out. He stands out because, yeah, he's like, we're going to call him an influencer now, but he's an influencer who actually knows what he's doing.
How to cut hair. Like, exactly. Yeah.
You look at a lot of influencers and, scratch away. Most of them, they either live with their mother or they're fucking, they're living in a rented apartment.
Go on, you can swear. I'll let you swear if it does happen. I'll just send Tony your way.
You know what I mean? And, they're forgetting the reason why they got into, why did they get into it in the first place? Do you know what I mean? Like, I never in a million years dreamed I'd be sitting where I'm sitting, talking, at a computer to people, listening to what I have to say. And I never, I had to kind of grow into that kind of role, not a role, but, some people like what I have to say, some people didn't like what I had to say, and all of a sudden here I am sitting here talking to you, right? But we're still cutting hair today, and I'll still be cutting hair tomorrow, and I'll be cutting hair the day after that.
So what we're saying as well, George and Elliot, do you think the work ethic's changed? Not just, is it social, but just our approach to working in our workspaces?
Generations change, don't they? So I was saying this to you earlier, Dom. So my kids, for example, you got to think everything in front of you now, right? TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, it's all done in short, sharp snippets, right? So even haircuts or colours that take hours and hours and hours are then canned into something that you see that takes 5 minutes. So my children are literally incapable of watching a film that's longer than 90 minutes because they want to see it quick. So I feel like that's the way that our generation's going, as the next generation's going, especially in terms of learning and coming through into the industry. They've got it in their mind that it's going to be quick. Whereas when we were training, I think it was a lot longer, a lot harder slog. And I think you had to be a good all-rounder before you could go on the shop floor. Whereas I think it might be wise today for younger people coming in to look at what they're good at, teach them to be a little bit of a specialist in something, and train them in short, sharp snippets. I think we've got to change our way as salon owners and business owners to how we treat the younger generation, because their attention span is non-existent.
Can we change the industry, Elliot, with training?
Yeah.
Does it need changing in your eyes?
It's interesting because when you say, does it need changing? The answer is, I don't really know, because for me, the reason I think why I did so well or have built up the audiences, I kind of went away from the industry a little bit. I went very much towards the consumer based. Whereas I think if you look at a lot of barbers or hairdressers, a lot of the content they create or what we're creating was very much aimed at other barbers and hairdressers. And for me, the reason why I was doing content was to get more people in the chair or to turn it into a business to the real person rather than it being to gain or to sell education. So for me, I don't fully know, but of where the industry is heading. But I know from my perspective, I think it's got to be very different in the way that the training is, because any 16, 17, 18-year-old now can blow up on TikTok and be earning 50, 60, 70 grand a year. So why are they then going to go and do 3 years apprenticeship and you've got to sweep the floor? I'm all for apprenticeships. Absolutely, and you need to learn it, and you need to learn it well. But I think the way that it's done is got to be different, because I think you've almost, like, from my perspective, I think I can bring someone on board as an apprentice. They're not just going to be taught how to cut hair well. They're going to be taught how to build your audience and create content from that. And it's not necessarily framing it as though this apprentice is the expert. It can be framing it that the content is watching the journey of this apprentice go from an apprentice to being a master. And then whilst they can still earn a lot of money by doing the content. And it obviously, from my perspective, I can help them nourish that. And I think it's there'll be different types of guides, is what I would say. And I think there'll be more people in the South, like James Earnshaw and those sort of places, people that have audiences, they're going to be more valuable to people like apprentices.
But people that are willing to learn all of this are, I still believe, 1 in 100. Like, I do believe that people want it. They want it now. They see it now. They want it now. And the people that are willing to go the extra mile to get it, that is hard to find, and that will remain hard to find, in my opinion.
But is there so much content out there now that they can get it a lot quicker, Johnny?
Again, content is that, like, you can teach anybody how to remove hair. Do you know what I mean? But it's like I've been saying it for years, that taste beats talent, right? But people are coming into the industry with no taste because they don't have any interest. You know what I mean? Like they're seeing what's trendy. And I said to you before, right? Trends, you have to be aware of them, but you can't follow them. You follow trends, you're going to be that trendy fucking shop. You know what I mean? And every time a trend changes, unless you have a depth in your knowledge that you can adapt, you're just going to be that place that ages very, very quickly. This is where, my love of, I say the word classic barber, and I mean classic in technique. That's where it came from. That, if you learn your technique correctly, then you can adapt it to any trend. If you learn a trend, necessarily won't carry your true technique. Do you understand? So people talk about what's hot right now or what's cool, but if you don't understand technique, then you can't develop a true taste level. And if you watching content online, like the education content online, because I don't think, unless you're at a certain level, online content is useless. You know what I mean? If you don't already know your core, if you don't already know your core basics, and I don't mean basic as in the easy stuff, basic as in the principles. If you don't know your principles, and if you don't know them inside out and upside down and back to front, then how can you expect to learn visually when you can't touch and feel something? You know what I mean? You can't see your mistakes. You can't see what the teacher or the educator or the instructor is trying to teach. All you're doing is replicating his taste level or her taste level. So I don't think it's the right way to learn. I think you have got to go in, you got to roll up your sleeves. And, I still do it. I still learn. I still practice. You know what I mean? I'm 30 years into it, and I'm by nowhere near as good as people think I am. But I understand one thing, that I have an impeccable taste level. You know what I mean? I have an appreciation for different taste levels. I don't necessarily have to like them. And there's a lot of work, especially in the men's world, that I think is absolutely disgustingly ugly. But sometimes discipline is ugly. Do you know what I mean? And people don't understand when I say discipline is ugly, right? If I did a pure square layer, or a pure round layer, or a pure triangle layer, or a square graduation, pure, no variations, and no combinations, right? If I did, they're ugly. They're absolutely ugly. Like, a pure square layer with no variation is ugly. A pure round layer with no variation, it's ugly. But you know what? There is lessons to be learned in ugly discipline. You know what I mean? And if you don't learn that ugly discipline, then you're not going to be able to create freely. And I hate to use the word create when it comes to men's hair, because I don't think men's hair should be creative. I think there should be I think there has to be a start, middle, and end.
I'm going to just jump in because I sense a lot of frustration from you, Johnny, with the kind of rise of the barber influencer in lots of ways. But you must be watching it, and we all have, haven't we? It's become the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. It's become cool, which is great for barbering, isn't it? This is no dig at barbering, but I guess the problem is the cool things come, then maybe the standards start to fall because people want it quick. I want to be cutting hair, earn the money, have all the glory that goes with it.
But we all wanted it quick. Didn't mean to say we got it. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
I didn't want to be an apprentice for fucking 3 years. Of course I didn't. You know what I mean? But I had to do it. Why? Because it was the necessary approach. But I'll tell you one thing. My first ever paid haircut was decent. Do you know what I mean? The first day I went on the shop floor, I was bloody good. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't brilliant, but I was good. Right? And, there's so many shows. You go to a show now and you're looking at, like, I remember a time, and not so long ago, when I went to shows and everybody I watched was better than me. Everybody. I went to salon. I went to barber bloody, whatever they call it, like a Barber Connect at the start. And everybody, I didn't necessarily like what I was looking at, as in taste-wise. But everybody on the stage had earned their spot there. And I was looking up and going, right? I mean, for example, like Martin Fox, I don't know if you know him, Foxy. He, like, in the early days himself, Alan Finlay, and there was a guy from Wales, I can't think of his name, right? They had a little crew called the Bomb Squad, right? The Barbers of Modern Britain, right? I don't know if you ever remember them, right? Yep. Now, I love Fox, right? And I think he's class. But I didn't necessarily like his taste level. Do you know what I mean? But I remember looking and going, fuck it, I like what they do. As in, fair play, they have their thing and they do it bloody well. You know what I mean? Then you went over somewhere else and you had somebody else on the stage, and they were good. And next thing you went to another stage and saw them and they were fucking good. Now you go to these shows and it's just some young fella out of fucking nappies, and all he's doing is a skin fade, which, to be fair, it doesn't take much. And, a skin fade, yeah, whatever, yeah, it's beautiful, it's clean and all that. But, there's nothing to it. Do you know what I mean?
I would agree. I would agree. Like, it's the previous years have been uninspiring and uninspiring.
Yes, and I sound like an old dude, like, giving out. At the end of the day, wherever the industry goes, I don't give a fuck. I do okay. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? It really doesn't. What bothers me was 3 years ago when I was asked to do certain things within the industry, and all of a sudden, people didn't like what I was saying. Oh, you can't say that. Oh, you can't say this. You can't say. I'm fucking 40 years old. I will say what I want. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll tell you what. Go on, Elliot. I'm just going to start flagging up some comments, but carry on, please.
I think we get so in our little world of, like, the barber or the hairdressing industry, and I think, like, from Johnny's perspective, I completely understand and appreciate what he said. Like, I think as a professional looking at certain things, we're looking at people who are just doing things for show and to try and look good. I think if we actually asked people on the street or guys on the street if barber standards were better now or 10 years ago, I think most people would say that actually it would be better now. Because I think, like, if we even 5 years or 7 years ago when I started to be a barber, I reckon, but this is you as a professional. I reckon the guy on the street would. No. Because in 7 years ago when I started to cut hair, nobody could do a skin fade. And I'm not.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to agree with you, Elliot, actually, because I do feel that the standards are much better now because you've had great training, because of all this content. You wouldn't say so, but then maybe but then you are old school.
I'm going to disagree on that one, and I'll tell you why, right? Individuals are better, right? As in, like, you have standout guys. Right?
Yeah.
Right? But collectively, as an industry, and I hate calling barber an industry, but that's what it is now, it's piss poor. Piss poor, right? When I was young, right? Even when I opened up over here first 10 years ago, there was only, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 barbershops in Manchester, right, in the city centre. And every one of those 7 shops were fucking class. Every one of them. And there was 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 barbers in each one of those shops, and each one of those barbers were fucking class. All very good, all very busy, all charging good money, right? Fast forward 10 years, you have 20, 30, 40 barbershops.
50. I mean, I've got 60. I've got 60 in Rotherham alone. So
Right?
God knows what there's going to be in
In those
Manchester.
shops, you might have 1 or 2 half a superstar. You know what I mean? Who's good? He's very good. Then you have a fellow who's not so good. Then a fellow who's a little less good. And then someone
But
else.
is that hairdressing? Is that not every business, Johnny? Is that not every
Yeah, because
sector has it?
people
You have a
are-
good restaurant, you have a crap chef, you have a great chef.
Yeah, but again, but collectively, is it like, you know, we all sit here and we talk about this wonderful industry that we all love, right? But the reality is, who's actually fighting for the standards? Because it all becomes about money. I know there's fucking 10 fellas who used to work for me now are selling education courses. Like, who used to work for me? Some of them are good, some of them are shit, but none of them are good enough to be a teacher. Do you know what I mean? Because teaching and showing are 2 completely different disciplines. It took me 5 years to learn how to teach. 5. I could show you how to cut hair 20 years ago. I mean, I could teach you how to cut hair 20 years ago. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? So that's where I am with regards to education.
Right.
Education.
Well, look, I'm going to bring in some comments. This is good. And by the way, if you get offended by swearing, you might best tune out because it ain't going to change. And that's Johnny. I don't want to change Johnny or George. So Tony, if you're watching, I'm warning you in advance. It's not going to get any better. All right.
I'll behave, Tony. I'll behave. I'll behave, mate.
Okay, let me just bring in some comments. Just coming in. Yeah, Emma said Irish swearing man. Love that. Sophie, yeah, the big message here. But I'll come to agree. I agree that our industry has to move on from cleaning the floor with a toothbrush. But if you really want a career, you have to work for it. Again, we are 20 seconds behind these comments. I appreciate some time back into the chats. Paul Davis, training needs to change to bite-sized topics.
I agree, Paul. I agree.
Yeah, or is there a place for longer form content? Another show. I saw Vivian just come in. I've deflagged it up. It's really pleased to see you here, Elliot. Where else have we got down at? Let's have a look. Facebook user. Yeah. When I trained, I did 3 years and another 2 years as an improver. I'm old school, City and Guilds, 1981. Started on a YTS, earning £23 to £50 per week. Yeah, but does that mean that's right? You know, that's. You know, this is a thing.
Sorry, go on.
No, carry on. No, please.
I do think that there's a compromise to be had here, but peddling courses for 12 weeks and then expecting people to actually buy into the course, and then people like me being the bad guy when they turn up for an interview and they're dog shit, and all of a sudden, like to this day, there's a certain, I'm going to name them, LSB, right? I don't employ from them anymore, right? I used to bring guys in and say, right, listen, you're at a level, I'm still going to have to beat some bad habits out of you. It's going to take 9 months. 9 months. And after that 9 months, you're going to sign a contract and you're going to stay with me for 2 years because it's going to cost me to train you, right? Mm-hmm. I still let them, they have two nights a week after work, right? One-to-one training. And then when they get to a certain level, they can do models, 2 to 3 models a day, every day, provided their duties are done. Now, their duties aren't what my duties used to be. All my guys, right? All my guys muck in. I muck in. Elliot is sitting here, right? I clean toilets. I do towels. I wash floors. You know what I mean? And
Same.
I don't get a medal for that because you're supposed to do that. Do you know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to do. You know, the days of the boss standing there pointing, they're long gone. Do you know what I mean? And you know, people are going to behave how they see you behave. Do you know what I mean? And if you want people to behave professionally, you got to act professionally. If you want people to behave passionately, you got to act passionately. You know, you can't just turn around and say, "Oh, you do that," because that's not going to cut it. You know, and I agree 100%. The days of treating juniors like shit, that's gone. You can't do that anymore. You know what I mean?
We won't cover this question, but I just flagged it up. There's been a massive growth. Barbers renting chairs. Do you see this as a good thing for the industry, or is a employed model better? I think that is a whole conversation in itself.
Yeah,
I think it's
good for the individual, isn't it? But like you were saying, Johnny, about barbershops and how it used to be a collective of people, and there was strength in numbers of those good businesses. I've seen that in hairdressing as well. So everyone is opening up in the shed or in the garage, or individually. There's some good stylists, but collectively, it's hard to find a team of people anymore.
It
Yeah,
is,
we
yeah.
got.
Look, it's a completely different conversation piece, but renting a chair is one thing, but renting a chair cleanly is another. Do you know what I mean? How many people, if the revenue came on, knocked on the door, be able to show their books and say, yeah, let's have a look? Not very many.
Also, what I'd say to combat that as well, I think a lot of people are doing the renting a chair, and I've been lucky enough that I've had sort of like a private studio space for the last couple of years. It's very lonely. It's very lonely, and I think if you're not got the right team around you, or if you haven't got a team around you, I think it will inevitably sway back the other way to people being fully wanting to be part of a team. You're already seeing it with people like clients that are wanting to go back into the office more so, because I would say exactly the same. It's lonely.
It is,
I
right.
actually really like it.
Well, you've entered into that world. I guess as a professional, look, we all have our different ways of working. There's no right or wrong way, I guess, in some way, as long as it's done professionally. I think that's probably what we all stand for. Things just have to be done professionally. If you open a salon, you're a salon owner, you got to be professional. If you're going to rent a chair, you got to be professional. That's, I guess, is where we're all at, and it's a big conversation, one that we could go on and on. Everybody, look. Brilliant. Keep your comments coming in if there are questions as we move along. I'm keeping up. I'm looking. As I say, I'm a little bit delayed. It was good to just see Dale come along. Dale Ted Watkins, another absolute legend in our industry. Someone who does it right. Looking buff, JB. That's good, Dale. I love Dale. Absolutely.
On Dale there, right? So you talk about doing it right, okay? So I'll tell you a quick story. Right? So I was open about 2 years. Manchester was flying, Liverpool was flying, right? And I got to the stage where, like I say all the time, and I've never hidden from the fact, I was nowhere near as good as people thought I was, right? So, like this, I said, right, I better get some education here. Bear in mind, I've already cut hair for 15 odd years at this stage. Already been quite a successful business owner. No need to do this, but you know what? My fucking ego took over. I said, right, I better do something here, right? So, I scanned, looked, people who I knew. No, don't like him. Came across this weirdo, right? So I said, I'm going to give him a buzz. So there I am on the phone. Dale, all right, darling, how's it going? Right? And on the phone, chatting away to me. I said, right, can I get a couple of days training with you? Yeah, no bother. Took me through the whole thing. And I thought, fucking piece of piss, right? So 2 days with this fella. First day, my head nearly fell off my fucking shoulders, right? Second day, I wanted to give it all up, because I never felt so exposed in my life. I felt so bad. I went home to my wife. I said, I don't know what I'm after opening up a can of worms here. I said, I'll tell you something, I'm fucking shit. Right? I'm crap.
Good job it wasn't a long story.
So I could have turned around, right? So I could have turned around there, swept all that under the carpet, and it blagged away for the rest of my life, right? But I couldn't, right? So like that, when I say it took me 5 years to learn how to teach, who do you think taught me how to teach? Him. Who do you think taught me how to cut hair properly, correctly? Him. I could remove hair to a very, very satisfactory standard. But as I said, bear in mind, I'd already built a brand that was known all over the country. Everybody knew what Barber was back then. And everybody thought I was great. But I was nowhere near as good as people thought I was. And it took me a good many years of close mentoring by Dale to actually get where I am now, if that is anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
Dale, Ted, for everybody, please just go and connect with this man too, because I think any one of us that knows Dale's work will tell you he's
by far the best.
He's absolutely. I think we done the world's greatest hairdressers sometime podcast, and I think Dale came in on that from my vote, as well as yourself, Johnny. Just to
my
say,
2 cents worth he is by far, and I mean by far, a long chalk. There's no one goes near him. Nobody.
Tony just said great story that. So
Yeah, it is a good story.
yeah, thank you. Look, it's going to be. Hey, who knows how long where we'll go tonight? Because it's a slightly different format having Johnny and Elliot here. But brilliant, already really enjoying it tonight. Coming in at the fair, it's absolutely brilliant. There's somebody just said about your pair of shoes. I've got to ask what fancy shoes you're wearing tonight. Are they your Jeffrey West by any chance?
Tonight we have. Hang on, one second.
Got some fancy socks on as well, by the looks
Fancy
of it.
socks. We have.
Oh,
Jeffrey
they
West.
are gorgeous as ever.
Johnny, can you just hold them?
Gorgeous
Because
as
my
ever.
client is the PA for Guy West.
Oh, really?
I know Guy West, Northampton.
That
So
big house
she
he
will
lives
love
in-
that. Jeffrey West, they are banging the best boots when it comes to
That big
statements.
house that guy lives in, I probably paid for half it.
But I know Guy, I know they're absolutely fabulous, beautiful shoes. And I remember when we done the Irish Federation Day, John, we both were there as talkers. I remember your boots. I felt like the accountant turned up when you rocked up, Mr. Rockstar. But hey, there you go. Right, we're moving on. Next topic, George. I've never heard you so quiet tonight.
Oh, really?
No chance.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm joking. I'm joking. It's right. Okay, I am going to hand this one to you, George, because blag and banter.
Yeah, okay. So, how many times have we talked a client out of having something because we're unsure of whether we can do it or not? So, when I'm talking about blag and banter, how important is personality over skill or skill over personality, or are they both equally important? How many clients come to a stylist or a barber for a 7 out of 10 haircut, but a 10 out of 10 personality?
That's good. Right, everybody, you can come in with your answers on that. I guess my first question, I'll probably come over to Elliot and on this. What are you like behind the chair when it comes to your personality? You're a quiet worker, lots of banter?
Yeah, for me, I think guys know if they've had a bad haircut, but I don't think they know the difference between a good haircut and an amazing haircut. I think for me, it is about the service, how they're made to feel. And for me, I'm more than comfortable with any haircut that comes in, doing it to a good enough standard for the time that they're in there. But for me, it is making them feel special. I mean, I wouldn't say I blag anything, but for me, it's more about the service, the personality, getting to know them, feeling as though that I care. They know that I care, and giving them something that they can wear. I'm not anything fancy or creative. So for me, it's up to a standard, but it's nothing that goes over and above what's super fancy or needed, to be honest. I think we're both similar to that, aren't we? You're a showman, you're a man who entertains, and I think for me that's what I've latched onto you about. It's the entertainment, it's the stories.
I think that, especially when it comes to men's hair, I think the difference between good and great is minute. You know what I mean? When you say what's great, technically great, visually great, it's another argument. But I think after a certain level, the haircut becomes invisible. And I say this to people all the time. This is where taste beats talent. I've had some bog standard. I don't mean to say bog standard, right? I've had some very, very.
You just did though, Johnny.
Yeah, but basic barbers, as in they don't cut hair in the fingers, they cut hair in the comb. They shave magnificently, they shave beards magnificently. But from a technical level, they are technically quite poor now, but they're visually quite strong because their taste levels through the roof, right? And they're the busy ones. They're the guys who are fully booked all the time. Then on the other side, I've had guys work with me and they've come from other shops or they've worked their way up through our ranks and they've been technically very strong, but they got the personality of a fucking dog bone, right? So they have not been busy. Now, they've had loyal clients, but they haven't been able to grow their clientele to the way the guy with the personality has grown his clientele. I've had young kids, and one of my guys, Harry, has just gone to Marbella for the summer, right? He came through. I had him since he was a 14-year-old Saturday boy. We had him, and then he went on working in the academy with us. I brought him through in the academy, Then that was 6 months. It was a 6-month academy course, and then another 6 months on the shop floor as a junior barber. So it was 12 months. And that was as fast as anyone. It was as fast as I'm willing to go, right? But within 6 months, he was half booked. Within 12 months, he was fully booked. And like, he was busy. You know what I mean? He was, technique was never his strong point, but he always he had a way about him. He said he could cut hair to a very, very satisfactory level. But if I was to go in and, get, CSI on him, you know what I mean, and cross-check all his work and pull everything out, I could find massive holes in it. Same way as if you cross-check my work, you'd find massive holes in it. My shop work. You know what I mean? My shop work and my teaching work are two completely different approaches.
In my experience,
carry on, George.
in my experience, the people that I've employed before or that have been self-employed for me, the ones with the personality that have said, "Oh, babe, you're looking fabulous," or that have remembered about Sandra's last holiday or whatever. Do you know what I mean? That they have been the ones that are always fully booked, despite being a 7 out of 10 hairdresser.
Yeah, but
my favourite haircut that I've ever had, I remember it vividly, is somewhere that I would never go back to because it was such a poor experience. I remember
that's
it
interesting.
But for me, the service I always try to give is what I want to receive. So for me, not talking to someone and not caring but giving them a great haircut is not what I want to do. I want to give them a very good haircut, but I want them to go out feeling as though that I have cared, that I remember things about them. So for me, there's a balance, of course, but I'm more weighted in making sure they have a great experience.
I think it goes, like I said, it goes to a certain level. After that certain level, it depends. It depends on many things. It depends on what you charge. If you charge 10 quid, what are you expecting? You're going to get 10 quid.
Yeah.
If you charge 30 quid, 40 quid, 50 quid, 100 quid. You know what I mean? Whereas I believe there's a ceiling price for men's haircuts. You know what I mean? In certain atmospheres, right? For me, in a barbershop environment, in a half an hour slot, you can't charge more than, I charge 34 quid up here, charge 40 quid in London. For me, that's worth it. That's, it's a half an hour. It's correct time. If you're someone like Elliot working in a private studio and it's one-on-one an hour and it's 80 quid, that's value. If you're someone like Joe Mills with a massive celebrity clientele and he charges huge money, well, do you know what? You're paying for his expertise. You're paying for his client list. You're paying for him. You're paying for the amount of years he's been, doing the hard stuff that no one ever saw. That's what you're paying for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, are his haircuts better than my haircuts? I don't know. Is his haircuts better than mine and my haircuts better than him? Who can tell? Clients can't tell.
No, that's so true.
I'm just going to flip something on the blagging side here as well. And again, it was what George mentioned earlier. Is there a moment, and I'll probably ask you this, George, you mentioned about actually blagging your way out of doing a certain hairstyle or look because you're not comfortable enough to do that? So you'll kind of talk somebody out of maybe doing...
I did convince a guy he had alopecia once.
Wasn't he bald, was he?
No, I get it.
You know what? I have done in the past. Of course, I have. I think any hairdresser or any barber to say that they haven't would be lying.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So what's an experience? What, somebody's come in, they've asked something, and at the back of your mind, you're thinking...
And I've thought, fucking hell, I don't know if I can do that. So I've,
I think
I've done about suitability or whatever, and I've got an outlet. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, now I'd say at 37, Sorry, Elliot.
I think I've made the mistake in the past of always then agreeing to it. Agreeing because I think it would work on them, even if I didn't have the skill set, and then just been absolutely shitting myself the whole way through the haircut. But I think then that helped me grow because then I went and learned how to do it afterwards. It then helped me in future. But it's not a nice feeling when you do feel like you have to blag it. I mean,
is there ever a moment then where when a certain clients come to you and they've been to one of the best hairdressers ever, and you just look at the haircut or colour and you just think, oh my God, they've been to this person. So let's say they've been to Elliot, Johnny, and then that male client comes to me and thinking, my God, I've got to follow, what these guys are given. Yeah, I'd find that quite intimidating. Maybe.
Well, I don't know. But then in the same breath, why are they in your chair?
Because they couldn't afford Johnny. They couldn't. They couldn't afford Johnny anymore, so they had to come to me. I'm just giving that as an example, but you've had clients come to you and you're almost apprehensive because of where they've been, and you're thinking, oh no, I'm a little bit out of my depth here in comparison to that experience maybe they've had at Barber.
Very few. I don't think it applies in men's hair as much. as it would in the women's world, Again, I remember there was times I had when Dale was working in Spitalfield. This guy came in for a haircut. I think you were probably there at the time, and this guy came in and he wanted an appointment with one of the other lads, and one of the other lads was off that day, and I said, no, actually, you know what I'm talking about, don't you?
Yeah.
I'm not going to mention him, but he was off, and I said, Dale is free now. Dale can take you, and he goes, is that the old guy? And I said, yeah, it is, yeah. And he said, no, he did it the last time. He didn't do a very good job. Now, that's when I had a kind of eureka moment that day. When he didn't say, I didn't like what he did. He didn't say, I didn't like how my hair looked. He said he didn't do a very good job, which told me there and then, that day, clients haven't got a fucking clue, most of them. They don't know the difference between, this is what we said, between good and great. They don't know the difference. So he actually had his hair cut by, in my opinion, for my money, the best men's hairdresser on the planet, right? And I can guarantee you that haircut would have been millimeter perfect. And it would have been done with such a good taste level that it couldn't be repeated by anybody other than him, right? But he still said he didn't do a very good job. He wanted this other mush to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's relative. After a certain level, clients haven't got a clue. You know what I mean? Would I be nervous doing hair that somebody else had done? No, not unless it was, someone like him.
What do you feel? Do you ever feel nervous, Dom, or do you ever feel like you have to blag it?
Yeah, I think that there's times where you felt a little bit threatened. Maybe, you're thinking, this person they couldn't get into their dream stylist, and they've had to come to you on this particular occasion, and you're feeling like, I've kind of got to, just go above and beyond, and you feel like you're almost being. When you get a new client in general, I always feel like it's a bit like a first date, isn't it? They're not only getting to know, what you're like about as a hairstylist and how you cut hair, color hair, style hair, but they're judging you on your personality too. They're judging you on so many things, aren't they? Do they like that persona that you have, that close connection that we have with people? I mean, I've got to say, I am by no means an award-winning hairdresser, but I've always been very, very busy when I've done it, because a lot of it is probably a personality comes through. And I think a lot of people want a wonderful hair experience and a great look, but to actually just enjoy that experience. And I think it's really, really important for everybody. It's like what you said earlier. You can go somewhere and have a great haircut, but if it's miserable, it doesn't matter how great that haircut is. But I think if you get the two, I mean, to answer what you both said, I think you need both. You need great technique, skill, and personality. If you have all those things, then you're going to be successful. And that comes back to learning your craft. And craft takes time. And craft isn't just the skills, and the craft is what our personas are, what we become as people. And we all know, all of us as hairdressers, barbers, call us what we like, hair pros. If you stick at the industry, and most hair pros that I know who are seasoned, probably like all of us, become really good, grounded people in lots of ways in our lives. I truly do believe that. I'd love to socialise with people in our profession, because we are, great personas anyway. I saw. Thank you for asking that, by the way, Elliot. That was cool. Right, Paul. Let's just get some quiet, because it's good. Clients don't know the difference between a good haircut and a bad one. They only know if they like it.
That's true.
That's true there, Paul. I like this from Donna. I find in my area that clients, especially young ones, don't look for talent. They look at the fancy Instagram the stylist has, the champagne lifestyle, etc. I think there is a lot of that going on. Facebook user, you're a Johnny fan when your colleague M. Sparrow has his voice as her ringtone. You know where that's coming from, Johnny?
Yeah.
I can't tell who it is because it's just coming up with Facebook user. When Johnny first opened, did he do walk-ins or an appointment only? What does he think the future is for walk-in appointments?
Right. Okay.
Or appointment, should I say. Make it quick, Johnny, because we're going to have to move into our next topic.
Okay, I am personally, I'm a walk-in advocate. I love it. I hate the fact that it has become appointment only. We're not appointment, we still take walk-ins. I work in a shop of a Friday. I'll only take walk-ins. If you want a haircut off me, you got to wait for it. If you don't, I'll go to the other lads, they'll take an appointment for you. I love the fact that I turn around and say, who's next? I love the fact that I have everybody in my chair. I love the fact that barbershops are busy. The vibe that's there. I miss the queue. You know, I miss the loudness. I miss the atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? I'm trying to slowly get that back. So I don't think it's ever going to come back full time. But if I can help it, I won't be taking appointments. Do you know what I mean? I don't take appointments. Do you know what I mean? I let my clients know what days I'm in the shop. It's up to them whether they want to book, or it's up to them whether they want to come in and sit and wait. I can do my best to accommodate a time for them, but I will never give them a solid time. I say, right, listen, I'm there. If you want to come in at 2 o'clock, there might be one ahead of you, there might be 4 ahead of you, there might be 5 ahead of you. You know what I mean? But, you know, it's, if you want to book, all my lads in my shop, and especially in Manchester, are magnificent. They can wait. They can book with them. You know what I mean? If they want me specifically, well, they could get lucky. I might be available to walk in, or there might be 2 or 3 people ahead of them. So it's up to them, really. I think it's going to be up to the client. I think it will change. I think it will revert back to, you know, walk-ins for people who want them and appointments for people who want them.
What was better for your business? Was it better
Walk-ins.
for walk-ins?
100% walk-ins. 100%.
Was it?
Yeah, 100%.
That's really interesting, actually. And
Is it
actually,
so-
funnily enough, I've been having loads of people walking. I don't know whether it's because I'm on my own now, but loads of people just wanting, like, walking in, just asking for a haircut.
Do you ever
which
have
I
that
just
space
find-
for walk-ins, George?
Not now. I'm on my own. Now I'm booked back to back till fucking 8 o'clock at night, mate. Most of the time. You're lucky I've made it here tonight.
Right. Well, that brings us on
Bravo.
nicely. That's a lovely segue into our next topic. So let's go to it. Help, I'm too busy. What should I do? George, again, you pulled this one in. Explain what you mean
just
on this
'cause
topic.
I'm just seeing too many people putting on Facebook groups, I'm too busy. What do I do? Well, answer's obvious to that. First of all, you raise your prices, but secondly, just stop complaining that you're too busy when we're in a cost of living crisis. Like, be thankful and, like, take the work. What is wrong with our industry? I do not know what is wrong with our industry. All I ever hear is charge your worth, this, that, and the other. You deserve this. Your skill is just your clients make your money. Take the work hard, and reap the reward. That is my opinion.
Come on, yeah.
You know, what is the worth? Well, you know, people say charge your worth. What are you worth? You know what I mean? You know, I think I believe there's a ceiling price to everything. You know what I mean? I think there's ridiculous prices. You know, we're all pretty fortunate in the fact that we're sitting here talking to each other about, you know, charge your worth. You know, and most of us, you know, who are watching even this tonight, you know, not too worried about money. Right? You know, not too worried about where the next pint of milk is going to come from. Not too worried about what my kids are going to eat, right? So people saying charge your worth, that's all well and good, you know, but are you giving value?
Value for that. And if any, sorry, go on, Johnny.
That's the other side of it. Like, people charging ridiculous prices for, you know, a service that, you know, if it's priced right. Now, how do you get your prices right? You set your prices based on your overheads and your eventual profit margin, what you want to make, right? Now, you got to understand what you're making. You know, like a lot of people, they don't know how to run a business properly, right? So you got to work backwards. So if you charge X, you know, you're going to need to have Y at the end of it, right? If you're too busy, yeah, you may as well, you might say you're too cheap. You might say raise your prices. What happens if you're too busy because you're fucking good? What happens if you're too busy because everyone else around you is shit? What about that? Right? And what about being grateful for being too busy? I wish I was too busy. I mean, because there's days where I'm standing there on a Tuesday morning and looking at my watch going, fuck me, man, where's all the customers? You know, and that's an established business. You know, we're not fully booked 7 days a week. I wish we were, you know, and we charge decent money.
I think it's an interesting one because I think the client really decides what the price is, because if I'm charging whatever your ceiling price you think it would be, say if it's £200, but I'm fully booked, then it kind of says that maybe that still is too cheap. If I'm haven't got anyone in at
Yeah,
£200,
that
then
is.
it's expensive. But I think they decide really whether it's worth it or not, because if they keep coming back in, then they do see the value. I guess for me, I think what is too busy, if you should never feel too busy. You should feel like you're satisfied. So you want to get that happy balance, whatever that is for you. Obviously it's going to be different for everyone.
Does your following, your massive following, Elliot, mean that you are just constantly busy as well? And so many people are finding you.
Yeah. Because all of the content that I do is aimed at the person on the street. It was
That's
a conscious decision. It was not anything aimed at the industry. So for me, it's brought in lots of people. I went to, I've just actually decided to stop cutting hair for customers. It's all now running a business as a content creator business rather than being a barber. So I went to a phase
Sorry,
where
Elliot, did you see that? Did you see that being? Was that a path that you always wanted to take, or is that just something that's happened from being successful in content creation? I just want to ask you that.
No, it wasn't ever the plan. The whole point for doing content was that I'd planned all along that I was going to open shops all across London. I knew that long term I would need lots of people coming into those shops and lots of barbers to come and help work and be a part of the team. So it was always with a long term vision. And I guess I hadn't really ever intended it or thought that it was possible to grow to sort of the numbers that it has done. And obviously then once those numbers come, the financials change. So it makes sense to try and double down on that rather than spending time on customers and clients. For example, obviously it's a business. You have to put the resources where the money is going to be, I guess, generated the most. So it was never the plan. I'm still going to be cutting lots of hair, but all the hair that I will be cutting will be with videos and for content and to reach more people that way, rather than it being for, a 45-minute service for X amount of money. So no, it was never the plan.
What an amazing adventure, isn't it?
Do you feel too busy now with content creation?
I would say I feel overwhelmed because I haven't put the systems in place to have the correct balance. I don't feel like, but I'm in control of that. That's completely on me. So I've now got an assistant. I'm now trying to get a full editor and full team involved. And I think now life gets very busy and hectic if you make it that way. I think I'm in control of whether it's busy or hectic. So it's only me that decides that I'm going to do an extra day's content or an extra day's customers. If I'm too busy, then I just do a day less, then can't I? So you're in control. Everyone's in control of it. Everyone thinks that they're a slave to the beast, but you're the one that's in control of it all, really.
Yeah.
There was something you also said, George, earlier on today, about being too busy, but actually making your workplace the happiest environment is maybe being in control a little bit of, maybe selecting your perfect client. Do you become that busy that you can be in that place to do that?
I do that all the time. I do that from consultation. You know what I mean? If I'm not vibing with somebody, then I'm not doing it. End of. If somebody comes and asks me for an updo, or for a perm or whatever, I'm like, right, you need to go and see this person over there. I ain't doing it. I'm not doing something that I don't like, nor am I very good at, to be quite honest with you, because I'm not going to be happy and I'm not going to make that client happy. So yeah, if you come in to me for some sort of crazy colour or a creative cut or a curly cut or whatever, yeah, I can do it and I can smash it and I'm going to be happy and you're going to be happy, but I certainly ain't going to be doing no prom hair anytime soon. Off your trot. Unless you want to look like a Viking, a crazy Viking.
I saw Elliot when I asked you that question, George. I saw Elliot look at Johnny as well on that. Maybe.
That's what Johnny said earlier. He's saying he only wants to cut people's hair now that he wants to cut their hair. That he's going to enjoy his time, because he doesn't want to waste time being around people that aren't. Well, that you're not going to enjoy being around. You want to have that fun, don't you?
Yeah, and that's it. And I think you attract without. That sounds really fucking hippie-ish, right? But you got to dress and act like the customer you want. You know what I mean?
100%.
I hear barbers giving out all the time that all they're getting is skin fits, right? But yet you walk past a shop and they're sitting inside, they're vaping in a tracksuit with white socks tucked into their fucking tracksuit, and they're giving out that they only have chavs come into their shop and saying, "Look in the fucking mirror, man." You know what I mean? Look in the mirror. Yeah. There's guys would walk past our shop all the time, and they'll look in, and they either straight away they go, I belong in there, or I don't belong in there. So they either keep walking or they come in, right? Very rarely do we have somebody walks in who we don't want in the shop. And that's not us being like, you know, arseholes, right? That's us putting out what we sell. As I said to you, I think the very first time we interviewed with Dom, you know, you gotta set out your stall really, really clearly. This is what I sell. I'm really good at it. If you want to buy it, come in. If you don't want to buy it, jog on. You know, and it's that simple. It's that
And I
simple.
totally agree with that, Johnny, because everyone that comes in my shop is like, they dress like me, they like me. Like, that is the power of branding, isn't it? Like, sometimes we get little old Margaret come in who's 80 who says, oh, you know, am I cool enough to be in here? And I'll say, yeah, of course you are. But it's not really, you know, they don't think that they can be, because you put out this branding, but that is the power of branding.
Yeah,
you know, I'm very lucky to have that.
Yeah, and people need to understand that. Do you know what I mean? You don't have to be for everyone, and that's fine. Do you know what I mean? And you know, not everyone is your customer. I've said this from day one. You know what I mean? Not everyone is your customer. You know, and you know, I don't say that from a pulpit, and I don't say that from, you know, a house of cards either. You know what I mean? I'm very, very conscious of what I've created. You know, and I'm very, very conscious of the customers that I want. You know, and I say to the lads, like, you got to be able to understand the difference between a fussy customer and an arsehole, right? There's a huge difference. Sometimes they might actually seem similar, right? But, you know, we look how we look, we charge what we charge, we're going to attract a level of customer that expects, you know, 7 out of 10 and upwards, right? You know, so we have to be able to deliver that, right? So we're not going to get into a situation where, you know, I'm going off train of thought there, but, you know, you go in to a shop where you want to go in. Do you know what I mean? You can't turn around and complain about being too busy if you've put out that persona that you want to be busy. Do you know what I mean? But yet, you know, not everyone is your customer. Do you know what I mean? Not everybody is right for you. Do you know what I mean? And you can never make an arsehole happy. You can make a fussy person happy very, very easily by delivering what they expect. You know what I mean? And by giving what they pay for. But
I'm just jumping in. Can you hear me? Because I froze. I see I've got a bit of a freezer.
I can hear you, but you're not
you
moving.
carry on talking, and I am
There's
here.
also a bit of an ego thing when it comes to hairdressing and barbers, really, of being busy, isn't it? I mean, I think for me, I know I held on for cutting hair for customers too long, almost because, like, well, how can these clients that rely on me so much, I am busy because I've got to look after them. And I think a lot of the busyness is due to ego as well, isn't it? Of not saying no to enough people and then charging the prices. I mean, that ego is a big thing.
But, like, ego is a massive thing, but I don't think people want to be busy anymore. You know, I think a lot of people don't want to be busy. I think they want to have the trappings of being busy, as in, like, you know, the bank balance. But I don't. I
want to be busy. I want to work 7 days a week, Johnny. I want to make loads of coin. And I love
you want to do 5 days a week, but charge the prices more. That's what it is. You don't want to do 7 days. Nobody wants to work 7 days.
I do. What do they say? You never work a day in your life if you do what you love, do you? I don't. When I go to work in the morning, I don't feel like I'm at work. You know what I mean? Because I don't think I wouldn't have lasted all these years if I thought like I were at work. I genuinely love what I do.
I like what
it makes me happy.
I think, you know, it still has to be looked at as work. You know what I mean? You never hear anyone say, "No, I can't go out tonight. I've got fun in the morning." Do you know what I mean? It's, you know, work is work, and you have to treat it as such. Do you know what I mean?
I guess my mind has also changed at the moment. I had a baby in February as well, so I guess for me, I'm trying to be like wanting to be present at home as well more. So priorities change and ebb and flow, I guess, don't they? As well.
Until he's 3, when you run out of the house.
Yeah,
you know?
I've got 3 mates, so I stay at work 7 days a week.
Well, congratulations! Look, loving this. It's great conversation. Again, there's been comments coming in. I think my computer's getting extremely hot. All these lights on that. Where are we? I did sort of ping up some. Let's go down. Lots of true words. Abigail said, "I've seen a gap and love doing hair up." I think that's quite often, isn't it? This is when we were talking about, doing stuff that you really enjoy. Your vibe attracts your tribe. Emma said your salon attracts your clients. Yeah, I guess we all have different personalities. We all have different. How on brand are all your team? I guess that's a thing. Maybe barber. Do you all have to follow a system of brand, Johnny? And
You know what? There was a time, right? I'd send someone home for having wrinkles in their shirt. There was a time you either had to have a beard or be clean shaven. You couldn't be in between, right? And I think in the early days when you started. But again, I think after COVID, and I know you said not to say the C word, but I will say COVID, right? Everything changed. And it got to the case, I remember before my interview process was, are you well rounded? Can you shave? Can you do 20 haircuts a day? Now my interview process, can you fucking breathe?
Yeah.
Can you read a clock? Can you get out of bed on time to get to work on time? You know what I mean? That's what my interview process is now. Okay, is there anything I can do for you so I can get a week's work out of you? That's what it's gone to. It's kind of like, are you kidding me? You know what I mean? The everyday expression, the tail now wags the dog. That is the way this industry has gone. The tail wags the dog. But I can tell you, from someone who's been around for 30 years, won't be like that forever. So I'll let the tail wag the dog for now.
do you think it's going to change then, Johnny? Because you did say it. Just before we go to our last one, I want everybody to think about your career high. I'd like to just share it on the screen. Do you think we may go back to a different way of working in our industry?
Yeah, I do think so. I think so because it's getting to a stage now where everything is getting super expensive. And I think it's getting to a stage where customers are demanding more again now. You know what I mean? They want more and more people are coming to work. More and more people are kind of working really hard for their money, and more people want what they want when they want it. You know what I mean? And that's going to create a demand. Now that demand won't be able to be serviced by all these little splinter shops. I've seen it happen in the early 2000s in Ireland. Everyone went out and worked on their own because everybody wanted to be their own boss, and that was fine. But all you had was you ended up with loads of shops with one person, two people, three people, and that's fine until prices go up, until rents go up, until rates go up, until VAT goes up. And all of a sudden that number that you got to work back with to make a profit no longer is in profit. You know what I mean? The price you charge is going to be snaffled up in your overheads, and all of a sudden you're going to have nothing left. And that's when people who aren't consistent in the way they work, aren't going to be able to sustain these small businesses. And I don't mean a small businesses in like a small business that there's only one person working with. A small business with one person working correctly, that's going to survive. But it's the small businesses that are kind of half doing it, living out of their till, paying in cash. You know what I mean? Not paying VAT. Folding companies every time they hit 80 grand and starting again, so they don't have to pay VAT. That's what's going to change it.
I think we've seen a lot of recently, isn't it? There's been a few barbers I've seen that have left, gone to start their own shop, maybe 2 or 3 chairs in it, and have now realised 2 or 3 years down the line, it's not all it's cracked up to be. It's not easy money, folded it, and then they come back to the ones which are more legitimate and more standing. I think it will ebb and flow back towards that, won't it? Because people are going to need more security, and they're going to need that guaranteed X amount each month or a week that they couldn't be guaranteed when the stress of running a shop. There is a lot of stress that goes with it.
There is, but again, that, like you said, the stress, a lot of it, we create a lot of the stress ourselves, My wife says to me all the time, she goes, you care too much, expecting people to care as much as you. It's never going to happen.
And they're never going to care, are they? How could they?
They're going to care to a degree.
Well, I always kind of laugh at that a little bit sometimes when, a lot of salons I do see, we're like a family. We love our team. We've all been there. We love a family. You're never a family. Deep down, I don't believe that. I don't. Truly, people, they work at your salon, your team. I don't believe anybody is that connected. You might find one in 20 that maybe see themselves as a part of the family, but I don't believe that exists. Sorry.
But you got to understand, people are loyal to their needs, And I think when their needs change, their loyalty to change, and that's human nature. I don't.
No, there's nothing personal in that, is there? You learn to not take it personally as it goes on more and more. Do you know what I mean?
There's certain people who will go above and beyond for you, but you got to go above and beyond for them in return. But people expecting employers to go above and beyond for people who aren't going to give it back. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You know what I mean? People feeding a narrative that, you know, that the boss should do everything in their that's humanly possible to make everyone else's life easier. You know, that's a fairy tale that's been sold to people by some people who think and who want to be seen as some sort of love guru. So in reality is, you know what I mean? People will be loyal to you once you look after them. Do you know what I mean? And it goes both ways.
I've got to just pick up, and Jacqueline just said, your business is your baby. It's not their business.
Yeah. Yeah. But and you know what? It's not supposed to be their business.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's right. They don't come for it to be their business, but
if you want good staff and if you want a good team, you've got to look after it.
We could keep going. It's brilliant. I knew it would be great. The conversations are good, but time, I appreciate. We're going into long territory here, and which is good because it's free flowing, and that's where we wanted to go. But I just want to end it on a little bit of just a nice thing. I'd like to hear your career highs, and we're all just going to go round table. Career high. Yeah, your greatest moment. I want all you that are watching as well to put in the comments here. So, let's go to our final little topic, my big high. Well, I think we all love what we do, don't we? Deep down, that's why we're all sat here. I always say that. That's why we're here at 9:20 talking hair, because we're passionate about it. And there's lots of things wrong. We know that, and by talking is how we improve our industry going forward for us all, for new, young, old, seasoned, whoever. That's what these conversations are about. But along our journeys, we have what I call your serious high. You know, you've been working for it, and you feel that's going to take some beating. And I know there may be more to come, but I just want to go around. I'm going to start with yourself, Elliot, and then we're going to work our way to you, George, and then come to Johnny. And then I want you all to put a comment in, a career high, all right? So this is a career high, okay? So, Elliot, what has been, to date, your career high?
I'd say it was when we opened the Soho store for Barbara, and then Johnny asked me to manage it. I think that was probably the big thing then, because I was on that at that point. I was like, I want to manage shops, I want to own a shop. So that felt like a big thing. So I'd say it was managing the Soho store actually. So I think that was that felt like a big thing for me then.
Yeah. I love that, because I thought you might have said 1 million subscribers or something, but actually, really nice.
Yeah, the million plaque, that was a big signifier. But I feel like it's, when I think of industry, like I think of it as that, because I remember at that moment that felt like more of a bigger celebration. It was, the trajectory for YouTube was very obvious, and it was going to go that way. But then I was only a couple of years cutting hair, or 3 years cutting hair at that point, so it felt like a big thing then, and it was good.
Yeah, nice. Okay, George, what about you?
There's so
Come
many.
on, you've had time to think about it, surely.
All right, being the only UK female ambassador for Denman Hairbrush is probably, and then making my own hairbrush was probably one of my best moments. And of course, being a presenter on here, Dom.
Yay.
I've got to say, nice. I think that's really lovely to hear, George. I remember that brush as well. Is that still out there, your own brush?
Yeah.
The Georgia Bell brush,
yeah. So it's definitely, and I've done lots of photo shoots with him, and that's been really, it's just been great. But I've got, there's so many. I'm very lucky.
Lovely, thank you, Johnny.
I think without a doubt, it's the day I opened the Manchester shop. Still to this day, I'll never forget the feeling I had, the first day I opened the shop. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't busy the first day, but it looked like I'd always wanted a shop to look like, and I put so much thought into it. And I remember walking in there that morning, coming from where I came from in Ireland, to having this magnificent looking shop in the centre of what I thought was one of the coolest cities I've ever been to. Bear in mind, I hadn't been outside of Ireland much, at that stage. You know what I mean? I've always been quite a home bird. And I still had my shop in Ireland at the time, and I remember like feeling like fucking Gordon Gekko, ringing the shop saying, "Hey guys, are you busy?" You know, and it was like, because that was my other shop. You know what I mean? I had another shop in another country. You know what I mean? And now I was over here open. I didn't know this was going to become what it became. You know what I mean? I was just so bloody happy that I had a shop in another country. You know, I had 2 shops in 2 different countries, and for me, that was just unreal. I couldn't. I don't think I could ever top that feeling. I don't think I could ever top that feeling. You know,
That's why we
What was
do
better,
it.
start of the day or the end of the
start of the day.
Start of the day.
End of the day was shit. We only wrote 6 questions.
And you had them comfy shoes on.
Oh yeah.
I think that's why we do it, and it's lovely to hear. I have.
What's
to
your
say.
highlight, Dom?
Yeah, so I was sitting here and thinking, I think launching the podcast has definitely been the highlight. I think Hair Club Live, when we launched Open Chair Night, and when we done that very first debut night, and you have an idea, and then to see it kind of happen was pretty cool. And I think also getting to host some key events for Weller professionals. I think Business Network Live, becoming their host, I've got to say has been a pretty good high for me. Matrix, I've done an amazing event for them. So I think all those things, hanging out here, I think, and the connection, I love it all, in truth. I think there's a lot of highs. It's so hard, but I think and I like a high, I think, from seeing people evolve in our industry. If you could give them that little bit of a platform, that really gives me a massive pleasure. Like seeing George as well. I feel like I got to know George at very early days. People like Kai and people that you just and Paul Watts, who's here. I'm sure you know your fellow YouTuber Elliot Paul, and Paul, and when you give people a little bit of a chance and bringing them on the podcast, as Paul Davis, he said, being on your podcast, I love that. They're real highs for me because we love doing that. Abby Gale. So yeah, there's quite a few, but certainly hosting big
Also, it'd
events.
be nice to give a little shout out to Kai at the moment, who's a little bit ill, isn't he? So it's sending best wishes to Kai.
Is Kai not too great at the moment?
No, he's got some real issues with his chest at the moment. So yeah.
Oh well, definitely wishing you a speedy recovery. Kai, love Kai, absolutely. He's a trailblazer for our industry. Always has been. People that are just doing things. I know who this is now. This is Craig, isn't it? Craig Henderson, opening a sensory room for autistic children. Emma, my greatest moment in February, I got asked to create a show for my colour brand and organise a whole thing from dancers to music to avant-garde. We got a full house in a theatre and the buzz was unreal. Loved that. Who's it? I wish I knew. Is this Craig? Again, Facebook. I bought that brush, George.
Thanks.
Great. Abigail, congratulations. She came fourth. Iron R smashed it in 2022 after a few really shitty few months, and having so many votes was truly amazing. Well, congratulations. We got any more here? Paul, big love to you, mate. Dom, your visions have always been incredible. Loved all the events. Yeah, and thank you, Paul. And it's great to see you doing so well as well on YouTube. It's great to see you all really promoting our industry in another great way. Ryan, being promoted to manager is definitely mine. Such a good feeling knowing someone trusts you helping their business. Thank you. It's Lynn Webster. Great. You need to grant that ECAM permission next in 2 weeks' time. Then we know being Barber area manager before the big C. Is that? I think I know who we're talking to. Who are we talking to? This is.
That's Josh Broker.
That's it. I knew it's Josh. That's it. How you doing, Josh? Great to.
We have to say this is when we talk about people who go above and beyond.
Yeah. Sorry, Tony. It was you, the sensory room comment. Oh, congratulations. I know Craig Henderson's done saying, why am I getting called Facebook user? Well, as I said at the start of the show, I say it every week. When you're watching it in a How to Cut It hairdressing community, you have to grant ECAM permission because it's a private group. Because we can't just show up people's faces, so there's a link that we put in at the very start. So going forward, put some coins. I throw brilliant, love it. So that's why. So next week, Facebook user. Sorry, it's nothing personal. It's only that's all I'm seeing. Yeah, that's it. The podcast is absolute class. Thank you so much, Jake. I appreciate that, buddy. Oh, I see. Yeah, there you go. So next week. There you go. That's a link. Bit late now. So we're broadcasting on Ecamm. You just click that link and it gives permission. So you'll know in 2 weeks' time. Well, look, we're an hour and a half in. It's been an absolute blast. It really has. So let's go to the farewells. You boys do not disappoint, I have to say, do they, George?
No, absolutely not. It's been great. I knew it would be, though. I knew it would be.
And I didn't swear that much.
No.
Thank you for having us. I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you very much,
It's been absolutely a blast, and I'd love to bring you both back on, and certainly, yeah, going forward. So, yeah, thank you so much. Again, Johnny, we were going to offer a prize. I was going to sort of pick out some. Was there a question that stood out for you in the show at all? Can you remember anything that came your way, or a comment? And that person will get it. Elliot?
I think, you know what? Yeah, the autistic sensory room for kids. You know, whoever's done that, because you know what? Like, cutting kids is hard. You know, cutting kids well is even harder. You know, and I think, you know, a lot of people don't put enough time or even care enough about doing kids' hair. You know, we've always been, you know, we like to have kids in Barber. I think it's a great place to start, you know, to people to enjoy getting their hair cut. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if somebody actually puts themselves out that much to create something where, because, you know, autism and, you know, people don't like, it's I suppose it's traumatic enough for a child to come to a barbershop, let alone a child with autism.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The fact to be able to do that, man, whoever's done that.
It's incredible, yeah.
Incredible.
My brother's 31, autistic, and I know even now just how tricky and troublesome it is for him going to a barbershop at that age. So, yeah, it's someone doing that. It's incredible.
They get it.
And it's Tony Windu who's got that. So we'll organise that via yourself, Johnny. I'll find out the details. And if anybody wants to check out these products, and I'm not just saying it, but Johnny did send me these products some time back. They are absolutely brilliant products. They really are. They look great. They feel great. I know some of my guy clients that have used it. I've actually sent them on to Johnny's site because they liked them that much. So where can they find out more on these products, Johnny?
You can buy them directly from the site at barberbarber.com, or you can go on Amazon and search Barber Barber.
Yeah, so go and have a look, everybody. I highly recommend them. And again, Elliot, just because I want people, if they haven't seen your content, to go and see it, where do we send them again? Is it just Elliot Forbes? Did you say just
my name, Elliot Forbes everywhere? Yeah, so double L, single T, Elliot Forbes, and yeah, Elliot Forbes everywhere.
Are you working on creating content for people as well? Is that part of your business model going forward?
It has been for the last couple of years working with a brand. So I do, yeah, it has been, and there's going to be a little bit of consulting. There's going to be some different things. You realise that there's more value to be had than just doing the content. So yeah.
Well, look, everybody's absolutely loved it. Fab show. Really enjoyed this one tonight. Tony, thanks, Tony. So we'll just get in touch and we'll get that organised. Paul, great show tonight. Thanks to all of you. Hey, Ray, how you doing? Great, inspiring guests, and it's the best hair show. Thanks, guys, and Georgia too. I love all this. It's why we do all this for. It's just this real time. Abigail, love hearts. Thank you all. So, George, we're back again 2 weeks' time.
I'm excited already for it. I'll get thinking of some more topics to bring on. Yeah,
absolutely. I've got to be credit where credit's due. George is fantastic with these topics. But if there are topics, bring them in. And I always love hanging out with George and everybody. It's always great. So look, I'm going to send you both all into the green room. Just put your mutes on, hang out, chilled, and I'll say the final farewell. So thank you again, Elliot, Johnny, George. It's been really, really cool tonight.
See you all in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye.
There we go. Wow. What a show. Aren't they brilliant? Isn't our industry brilliant? I hope that's what everything gives you when you're listening into shows like this. When you're actually getting some of the most credible names in our industry. You know, these aren't people that are just come along at whim. And these are the real deal. Johnny Barber giving you advice like that. One of the biggest names in content creation from our industry, Elliot. and Georgia Bell. So yeah, really good. Love everything that you all do to the show, and having your comments. It's your voice that truly makes this show, and it is about the Everyday Hairdresser Show. And if you're enjoying it, then just make sure that you're either subscribing on YouTube, or you're following, or you're part of the How to Cut It hairdressing community group, as well as maybe signing up to platform from How to Cut It. Yes, we are launching it on Monday the 12th. We're opening the doors. I can see lots of our platform members are coming in here. We've got some great things lined up for that. howtocut.it/platform. All right, so come on that. And we broadcast that into there as well. And yeah, we are going to be back in 2 weeks' time again. I can't, either Rihanna, I think Norman's going to be back with the show. So we're going to have some great topics. Get in touch if there's any topics that you really would like for us to cover. So we're all ears, all open to it. And yeah, we really enjoy it. I promise you, it's sync. That's just great. Adam, how you doing, Adam Sloan? We'll watch this. Just tuned in. Yes, you can watch this on replay. That's the beauty of this show. So it's all captured in replay. Go back, put your comments in, maybe hashtag replay, and we can maybe come in and comment that. So that is it. That's the end of tonight's show. So thank you again for joining us. And until next time, it's showtime out. Bye-bye.